All right, and we're live. So, welcome everybody to Coffee with Markus. Today is Monday, April 29th, and yes, we have a fun-filled half an hour ahead of us because we're going to talk about what's happening in the markets. We're also going to talk about the stocks that I'm trading right now. We'll talk about a success habit that is suspending your disbeliefs. And we'll also talk about stocks versus ETFs. What is the difference? What should you be trading? What will be more helpful to you? So if everything goes right, we are live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And just want to make sure that we are. So if you are watching me live on Facebook, please say hi real quick. And if you're watching me live on YouTube, also do the same and say hi real quick so that I know that we are live on both platforms. All right, so if this is your first time here, hi. I'm Markus Heitkoetter and I show people how to generate an income by trading stocks and options. But not how you might think. You see, people come to me because they want to make enough money with trading so that they can quit their job and spend more time with their families and travel a lot, like I like to do it. And even though they have saved some money, they tell me that they don't get enough returns to be able to quit their jobs anytime soon. And so they tell me that this makes them feel stuck and frustrated. Now, if this sounds familiar to you, you are not alone. Lots of people go through this, and here's what I tell them. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And trading can be simple, and I will prove it to you. But first, let's talk about what happened in the markets today. Today, the markets were up. Let's switch over to the charts. Here we go. These are the charts. And let's see what happened here today. So today, this morning, the Dow Jones pretty much opened where it closed on Friday, was moving up for most of the day, and then we had this little dip going into the close. But all three indices, the S&P, Dow, and the Nasdaq, are up. So why? What is driving the markets today? As you can see, they're not up a whole lot after this little dip here going into the close, and you see the same happen in the Nasdaq. We're pretty much around the unchanged mark. But here's what was driving the markets earlier today. Today, the so-called core PCE price index was released. And it was better than expected. So what the heck is this core PCE? It measures the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, but excluding food and energy. So fancy, I don't know, definition for it. Basically, it is an inflation index. And the inflation index came better than expected. And when that is the case, that's good for the markets. So since today is Monday, what will happen this week? So all the eyes this week are on a few key companies that are reporting earnings. And the companies that are really in the spotlight right now is Apple. So Apple will report earnings this week. I believe it's coming up on May 2nd. So this is when? Thursday or Friday? Anyhow, as you can see, Apple thus far has been doing quite well today. A little bit here in a holding pattern, waiting on what Apple will announce. Another company that is announcing their earnings is Google. Google, there we go. Or also called Alphabet right now. And you see for Google, it has been a phenomenal. I mean, Google is trading at, I believe it is at all-time highs. Yes, look at this. And also the indicators are still telling us that for this stock, it is more likely to go up. So here we have earnings coming up on 29th. That's after the bell today. So that's what traders are focusing on right now. Now, you know me, I stay away from these mainstream stocks. And here's why. I mean, since everybody right now is looking at these stocks, it can go either way, right? It can continue to go up or crashing down. Last week, we had a few perfect examples of stocks that were crashing down. So talk about stocks that were in the news last week. 3M, it's MMM. the symbol of the company. Last week crashing 12 or 13% after disappointing earnings, and today down again. Also, Tesla was in the news last week. A Model S exploded in China. I shouldn't type and talk. So Tesla here down last week, what was it, 16, 17%. And as you can see, this year thus far, this is year 2019 for Tesla, has not been a good year. So that's why I always say, trade what you see, not what you think, and stay away from these mainstream stocks, because as you can see, just one bad earnings report can send them tumbling 12, 13, 14, 15%, right? Who knows? So let's talk about the stocks that I am trading right now. So one of the stocks, and we have talked about this a few times, is Boot. So Boot here, nicely up. I am short Boot, so I expect Boot to go down. So therefore my stop loss is above the market, and I wanted Boot to go down to 16.18. This is what my indicators are telling me. So I entered at, 28.93, right now at 28.80. Not a whole lot, but up, 13 cents for me. So that's good. Now, another stock that I have in my portfolio is VSTO. Now, VSTO, I'm playing to the upside. And as you can see, it doesn't matter to me what the overall market is doing. I don't care whether the overall market is going up, down, or sideways. I look at the indicators because that, to me, is an objective way to determine whether a stock is more likely to go up, down, or sideways. And this is how I found VSTO. Bought it at 8.82 last week, right now at 8.93. So it's also nicely up. Not a whole lot, but hey, I just got in it last week. Usually I expect to be in a stock between 5 and 20 days. And here I just got in, and I'm in for a couple of days here. I think I entered sometime last week. Another one that we entered last week was OLN. So OLN here, again, this is a stock where I'm betting to the downside. So I want the stock to go down. If the stock goes down, I'm making money. Entered here at 23.04. Right now, it is trading at 22.46. So nicely up here. This is always good. OLN was one of the fun stocks where I entered and immediately were in the green because it dropped. And what I wrote down here is that my first profit target is at 22.02. Today it was trading as low as 22.27, so it is getting close to the first profit target. Once it reaches the first profit target, this is when I take money off the table, right? And then it's basically a free trade, and I hope that it continues to fall down. Today I was looking at a few other positions that came up. So the way how I do this, I use the PowerX Optimizer. It's a software that I like to use to find the best stocks to trade. And a few stocks that came up today, one of them was PPBI, and I believe it was Rare. However, so what I did today is I entered into PPBI because it looked really, really good to me over the past year. If I had, let me just remove in the settings here, the indicators, we don't need those on the chart, right? So if I had traded PPBI over the past year, I would have made 70.6% return on investment. So on a $10,000 position, making $7,261, that is absolutely meeting my criteria. It's also trending really nicely, both to the upside and downside. What I'm looking for is small but consistent trades here. Also saw that it had 11 wins, 8 losses, so a winning percentage of 57%, meaning that on average on 10 trades I will be right 6 out of 10 times and wrong 4 out of 10 times. Profit factor of 5.52, and here's what that means. It means that in the past, if I had traded the stock for every dollar that I would have lost, I made $5.52. So this looked good, and I entered it today, and this was PBPI. Also, as much fun here as OLN, because immediately it is in the green here. So entered today at 29.60, right now up to 29.88. So these are the positions that I'm in, and today was one of these days where all of them are in the green. And this is, of course, what I like. Now, it's not always happening like this because, as you know, there will be losses, but you already get the idea if you're looking at any of these stocks here. I keep my losses really small, though, so the red shaded area, that is the amount that I would lose, but I keep my profits larger than my losses. And this is how I trade. And if this is making sense to you and you would like to know more about the way how I trade, let me just come back here to full screen. So if you like this idea, would like to learn more, go to a website that I set up for you. It's called mytradingroutine.com. And if somebody could type this in the comments, I would really appreciate it, because you've seen what happens when I type it in. It's usually not good. So if somebody could type in mytradingroutine.com, would appreciate it. When you go there, you see a 35-minute video that shows you exactly what to trade, right? How I find the stocks that I like to trade. It shows you exactly the indicators that I like to use to calculate and find my entries. And I show you exactly how I place my stop loss and my profit target, and the principle that I use here of keeping the losses small and having larger profitable trades than losses. Now, as you can see, I use a software that is called PowerX Optimizer. It's the software that I had programmed for myself. But if you're interested in the software, on this website, mytradingroutine.com, there's a little button that says demo, request a demo, or something like this, where you can get in contact with Rachel and Paul, one of the other, right, who will be happy to walk you through the software to see if this is a good fit for you or not. All right, so in a moment, we're going to talk about the difference between stocks and ETFs and what is better to trade. And we're going to talk about a success habit that I believe is very important. But so far, let me know, is this helpful, or are you enjoying this show thus far? And again, as you know, this show usually is around 30 minutes long. Right now, we are at the halfway mark, 15 minutes, so I have more interesting things to come. But type in a comment, let me know if this is helpful. If you're enjoying it, and also make sure that you hit like. And the cool thing is, if you're watching this here on Facebook, you can hit like multiple times. Please do this, because I'm always watching it and I want to see if we can break our record. I believe our record thus far is 68 likes. So let's see if we can break this here today. All right, very, very cool. It's so good to see you all here. There's some new faces here. Hey Ben, good to see you. And I will respond to all your comments towards the end of the show. So please keep your comments coming. And if you have any questions, absolutely, I love to talk to you after we go through the material that I have prepared for you of the things that I wanted to talk about. Because I always have a few little notes, right, of things that I want to share with you. So right now, I want to talk about mindset. You see, millionaires and billionaires have success habits, right? And one of the success habits is to suspend your disbelief. But what does this mean, and how do you do this? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. You see, success leaves clues. And millionaires and billionaires think differently than people who are poor. It's true, we do. And there are several success habits, and today we're going to talk about an important one. And this is suspending your disbelief. And what does that mean? Well, here's a fundamental concept. What you believe to be true is true for you. You might want to write this down because it's a good one. What you believe to be true is true for you. When people believe that it is hard to make money, they will have a hard time to make money. And if you believe that you are a millionaire or that you will be a millionaire, you will find a way to become a millionaire. If you believe that it is possible to make money with trading, you will find a way. What you believe to be true is true for you. Now, if you think back, when we are born, we believe that anything is possible. Do you remember when you believed as a kid that you could fly? Do you remember this? At least I thought that I could fly. Have you ever built these the wings with the cardboard, right? And then you pretended to fly, and you thought it must be possible for me to take off. Do you remember all the great things that you believed as a kid that you could do? Be a hero and fly to the moon and fly to the stars. All of your dreams, all of your goals. But then something happened. And usually what happened is school, right? Could be school, could be your parents. Usually it's school that is crushing your dreams. When you have a mean teacher that says, no, you're not a hero, you can't be a millionaire. By the way, has everybody ever said anything like that to you? That you can't do this, you can't do that? If so, please type yes in the comments and let me know that I'm not the only one. Because I had teachers in school that were discouraging me. But here's what's important. Don't let people who gave up on their dreams discourage your dreams. At some point, you have to learn to suspend your disbelief that has been programmed into you by people, listen to this, by people who are less successful than you. Keep this in mind. No millionaire or billionaire will tell you that you can be rich. Only negative people do that. Success people will encourage you. People who are less successful than you, they are dragging you down. But so how do you suspend your disbelief? Because at some point you might have been hypnotized by others that you no longer believe that you can be financially free. You don't believe that you can be a millionaire. Well, I guess you're different because you're watching this, but let's talk about how do you suspend any negative disbelief. It's pretty much like going to the movies. Right now, as we're recording this, Avengers Endgame was just released. Today is Monday, April 29th, and the last weekend, Avengers Endgame was released. And it was the most successful movie opening ever. Millions of people watched it and believed that Tony Stark has a suit and can fly. Millions of people believe, at least for a few hours while watching this movie, that Bruce Banner can turn into Hulk, that Steve Rogers got some injections in, 1945 and became Captain America. Let me ask you this, would you enjoy the movie if you didn't suspend your disbelief? Because for a few hours, you tell yourself, maybe it is possible. Now, if you can do it for the movies, why wouldn't you do it with your life? Think about it. If you would be sitting in this movie and saying, that's impossible. This is all just fiction. So what? You're anyhow enjoying it because some of the movies, they make us believe that it could be possible. And this is what I want you to do with your life. I want you to go into your internal movie theater and just suspend your disbelief and say, okay, so let's say, what would my life be if I left all these crappy beliefs behind? So whatever crappy beliefs have been programmed into you, suspend them, even if just for a few hours. Because think about this internal movie. You're sitting in the movie theater and you see yourself on a screen as the hero. What if there's a way for you to find something to make money besides having a job? Could be trading, just a hint. What if there is a way to be financially free in 3 years or less? What if it was possible for you to become rich, to live the life that you deserve, to have time for your family, to travel? You get the idea, right? I want you to get excited. I'm excited just talking about it, right? I'm excited for my life. I'm excited for your life about the possibilities, what happens when you suspend the disbelief. And you see, there's a little voice in your head, in all of our heads, that constantly says, no, you can't do it. You know what? Tell that voice to shut up, at least for a few hours. And your ego will tell you, oh, you have already tried everything. You've tried what? Everything. Well, Name. What is everything? Well, we have tried lots of things. Name them. Well, we have tried these 3 things and they didn't work. Okay, so open your mind to possibilities. Because the only way to do this is turn off this ego that says, I already know. You don't know everything. Otherwise, you would be as rich as you wanted to be. So tell that voice in your head that tells you, it's not possible, to shut up as you do in the movies. Suspend your disbelief and suddenly possibilities will open up. Suddenly you will see things that you didn't see before. Suddenly there are opportunities and you wonder how they magically appeared. Once you set aside the ego and your disbelief, magic will happen. Hope that you enjoyed this little motivational speech, and it is really important. It is a practice that I personally do, have been doing for years, and it has helped me tremendously. All right, so I got a little bit worked up here, but it's really something that is near and dear to my heart because I see too many people giving up on their dreams, and you know that you deserve a much better life. Even if you have a good life, I mean, you deserve to have a much better, bigger life. But let's go back to trading and spend a few minutes talking about trading. See, what is the difference between stocks and ETFs? These are exchange-traded funds. And which one should you trade? Which one has a larger profit potential? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. You see, if you want to succeed with trading, there's 3 things that you need to master. The first is what to trade. And there's a lot of things that you can trade. Stocks, options, ETFs, Forex, cryptocurrencies, futures, right? The second thing that you need to master is when to enter. And the third thing is when to exit. And there's 2 ways to exit, either with a profit or with a loss. Now, as we talk right now about stocks versus ETFs, we cover the first part. What should you trade? Now, when trading stocks, there's pros and cons to trading stocks, right? One of the things that happens with stocks that regularly there is news that is moving the stock. A little bit earlier today, we talked about how, for example, Tesla has been hammered last week, dropping 17%. How earnings sent 3M down 12%, right? So this is what's happening with stock. News can make a stock violently move to the upside or the downside. So this is why there are some ETFs. ETFs stand for exchange traded funds, and it basically means it is a fund of stocks that is traded like a stock. And these days there are many ETFs, and each ETF has a purpose. The idea here is when investing in an ETF that you are diversifying. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you want to invest in the S&P 500. And instead of buying 500 stocks, right, you just buy an ETF that is called SPY. So let me show you exactly what this looks like. So I'm going to show you here a chart of the SPY, and this is an ETF that is mirroring what the S&P 500 does. It is just way cheaper to trade. Right now, as we're recording this at the end of April, it is trading at around $300, just shy of $300. So if you would like to benefit when the whole S&P is going up, you can trade the ETF that is called a SPY. The cool thing is it trades like a stock, and therefore it's really easy to get in and out and also fairly cheap. Compared to mutual funds that have tremendous management fees, an ETF usually has much less management fees and therefore could be an alternative to mutual funds. Now, one of the things with ETFs, they don't have earnings and they do not provide any dividends. So you need to know this. Also, the cons of ETFs, the disadvantages is that it moves much slower. So as an example, today, the SPDR, which is the ETF that is mirroring the S&P 500, moved up 0.13%. Now compare this to some individual stocks that I like to trade, for example, OLN, that today moved 1.3%, 10 times as much. Or what is another stock, VSTO, that we were trading today, moving 1.71%, 15 times as much as the index. So this is why I personally prefer to trade stocks over options. And if you would like to know how I pick the stocks that I personally use in my trading, please go to a website that I set up for you. It's called mytradingroutine.com, that explains exactly how I find the best stocks to trade. But let's talk about a few key ETFs that you might want to know, because you might choose to invest in ETFs. And so one of them we already talked about. It is the SPY, the so-called spider, and it is mirroring what the S&P 500 does. If you want to invest in an ETF that is mirroring what the Dow Jones does, there's the so-called diamonds. The symbol is DIA. And you see right now it is trading at around 265. The whole Dow Jones, if you would buy all the stocks in the Dow Jones, would be at 26,000, right? But here, obviously, this is much cheaper. So it behaves exactly as the Dow Jones. If you like to trade the NASDAQ, there's an ETF for that is mirroring the NASDAQ, which is called the QQQ. No idea why they're calling it, but hey, you just need to know it's called the Qs, and the symbol is QQQ. Also, if you would like to trade crude oil, but you don't like to trade the futures market, you can trade an ETF, which is called USO, which is tracking what crude oil is doing. So if you're betting that crude oil will rise, you can just buy an ETF that is called USO. And if you believe that crude oil will go down, that prices will decrease, then you can simply sell this stock or this ETF that's traded like a stock, and it's called USO. Now, one more that I want to show you, it's FXE. FXE is mirroring the euro currency. So if you are interested in currency trading and you don't want to trade Forex, you can do it with an ETF. Now, there's many ETFs out there, and whatever you want to trade, whether you want to participate in gold or silver, you can do this with an ETF, and it is as easily traded as a stock. Now, one more thing that I want to cover here is so-called leveraged ETFs. And what does this mean? We talked about the SPX that is mirroring the S&P. So as an example, today the S&P was up 0.11%. Now, you can trade an ETF that is leveraged with a factor 2. The symbol for this is then SSO. And as you can see, today it went up 0.25%, exactly twice as much. So you're getting some leverage here, and for every point that the S&P goes up, this particular leveraged one called SSO goes up 2 points. Or there's even one that's leveraged with a factor of 3, and it's called UPRO, the Ultra Pro Shares. And you see, the SPX today was only going up 0.1%, and the UPRO was going up 0.35%. So as you can see, there are leveraged ETFs, and leverage is a double-edged sword. It works in your favor as well as against it. So if the S&P goes down by a point, this particular fund here, UPRO, would go down 3 times as fast. Now, very last thing that I want to mention here, you can also bet on a falling market. And if it is screwing with your head that you say, well, I would have to go short, they got you covered. So for example, there is an ETF that is mirroring the S&P, and right now, as you can see, the S&P today went up 0.11 and this went down 0.11. So it is basically betting on a falling market. As the S&P goes down, this ETF will go up. So as you can see, you can make it as easy or as complicated as you want it to be. I personally do not trade any of the ETFs. And here's why. For me, the main disadvantage is that these ETFs are rather slow. Even if you have here a leveraged ETF, as you have seen today, the stocks that I'm trading has been moving 1.3 and 1.7% in a day. The ETFs, even the leveraged ones, only moved 0.33%. So therefore, I personally like to trade stocks. But it's important that you know the difference between a stock and an ETF, and I hope that now you know this so that you can make an informed decision of what you want to trade. Keep in mind that stocks have earnings and dividends. ETFs typically do not have any earnings and do not have any dividends. ETFs are more diversified, and whenever something is diversified, it means that it moves much slower. Is this helpful? I hope that this is helpful, and if so, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel on YouTube and on Facebook. Also, make sure that you see these notifications first so that you're being informed whenever I'm releasing a new video. If you have any questions around this, please leave a comment below. I'm reading all the comments and I'm doing really my best to answer all of them, and it might take a day or two, but I promise I'll get back to you and answer any of your comments or questions that you might have. When I see that this is a comment that warrants another video, I will do a new video for you. All right, so let me ask you, was this helpful thus far, talking about all these things? And as always, make sure to subscribe to YouTube and hit like, as many likes as possible. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this show as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And if you know anybody who might find this video helpful, please feel free to share it. And for those of you who are here live, let's take a look at some of the comments here, because I love to spend a few more minutes and really look at the comments, see if there is a few things that I can answer for you. So good to see you, Debbie. Hey, Lorena. Hi, Holly. Charles, good to see you. Marina. Hey, Andy, so good to see you here. Hi, Liz. Hey, Paul from the UK. Dion from Switzerland. Brandon says, I like your software. Thank you. I like it too. It helps me a lot in my trading. Okay, great feedback. Ben, what's up? All right, so Lorena says it's helpful. Great. Okay, so how to use the same stock strategy for both stocks and options? Michael, here's the deal. An option follows what the stock is doing, right? I mean, if a stock is going up, you buy a call option, and the call option will increase in value as the stock is going up. If you want to bet on a falling market, you would buy a put option, and as the stock is going down, the put option will increase in value. I believe on the website mytradingroutine.com, towards the end, I'm talking how you can use the exact same strategy for stocks and options, because options are just a substitute for stocks. This is why they're called derivatives, right? They're derived from a stock. An option only moves when the underlying stock is moving. So please take a look at this, and I will do another video soon about the difference between stocks and options in the same way as we talked today about stocks and options. All right, good. How do you make money on a stock that is going down, is Charles asking. Well, there's two ways. Either you can sell the stock even though you don't own it, and I will do a video around that. Let me write this down. That's a good one. So we talked about ETFs and stocks. So you have a little post-it here with topics that I want to cover, and right now we can cross out ETFs and stocks. And we put a new one on there that says selling short, how to make money on a stock when the market is going down. It's actually very easy. You'll see, you're going to love it. So I'll record a new video around this. All right. Okay, let's see. And Renee says, I still run around like a dinosaur in the backyard. That is awesome. I'm loving this. Send a picture. Please post a picture. I can't wait. Okay. So Vinay is asking, does this work for Indian stocks too? The strategy, yes. It does work. I mean, I've traded stocks all around the world. Right now in the software that I program, that I'm using, I'm only supporting US stocks because I believe that the US markets are the best markets to trade. Trust me, I'm from Germany. I have traded European markets. I have traded foreign markets. And I must say, I found the US markets the easiest markets to trade. And that's what you want to look for. Okay, good. Paul says, I don't know how my story ends, but it will say I never gave up. I'm loving that. Paul is asking, if you trade an ETF, do you set a profit target and a stop loss as you do for stocks? Yes, Paul, this is the fascinating thing. You can absolutely do it exactly like a stock. So you can set a profit target and a stop loss. So if, for example, you believe that crude oil prices will go higher, right now you can buy the ETF USO, set a profit target and a stop loss. So it works exactly like trading a stock. All right, Christopher is asking, what is the best way to determine if the markets are trending? Well, I personally like to use indicators. The three indicators that I like to use are RSI, stochastics, and MACD. And if you would like to know the settings and how exactly I use them, Christopher, please go to mytradingroutine.com. There's a 35-minute video that shows you exactly how I'm doing it. And I'm looking then at certain levels. So let me just show you for the stocks that I'm personally trading here right now. So what was it today that we entered? PPBI. So I'm switching over to my charts here. Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see that the RSI is above 50, that the stochastics is above 50, and also that the MACD is above its moving average. And as you can see, usually I'm pretty good with these three basic indicators to determine whether we have a breakout or not. So right now I'm looking for a breakout. I believe that this stock will go to 34.06. That is my profit target. If I'm wrong, I'm exiting at 28.23. And again, if you would like to know exactly how I do this, please go to mytradingroutine.com and check out the video that I have for you there. All right, last question, and then I got to go because it is already 40 minutes in, and I try to keep these sessions to 30 to 35 minutes. So Chop Chop Chop, I love this screen name, is asking, what should you, where should the interval be for trading day to day for long-term investors? I like to follow daily charts so that you just look at the charts at the end of the day. And my holding period for any stock is anywhere between 5 and 20 days. That's all I want. I mean, I don't hold any stocks long term. None of the stocks in my portfolio and none of the stocks that I have bought and sold over the past years, I have had for longer than 20 days. I mean, maybe 22 days. But I promise you, definitely less than 30. Usually, I'm holding a stock between 5 and 20 days. And these days, as you know, the markets are crazy. They're crazy volatile, up and down, right? So therefore, it definitely makes sense to have a more short-term approach. For my long-term investments, I like to invest in real estate, okay? So, hope this helps. Jeremy, what percentage should the stop loss be? Please do me a favor, go to mytradingroutine.com. There's a video that explains everything in detail because we're running a little bit out of time here. But great questions, I love it. Hey, I enjoyed being here on a wonderful Monday afternoon with you. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit, and thanks for all the great questions. Loving it. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern, on both channels, on YouTube and on Facebook. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell to make sure that you're being notified whenever I go live or post a new video. If you're on Facebook and you look on the top here, it should say somewhere notifications. And if you click on notifications and select see first, this way you will be notified whenever I'm going live or posting a new video. Have a terrific day. Don't forget to hit like. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.